Hello viewers, this is the RC Fanatic 07, and right now I'm showing you a Team Associated TC3 Nitro car. Right now I want to show you a couple things that I've noticed as I did a quick inspection of this vehicle. On the front of this car, it has a bumper brace. This brace is here to keep the foam on the front of the car. It's also there as like a stabilizer. With this foam on the car, it like helps absorb the shocks from being hit or running into a wall or whatever. It absorbs the shock, but it doesn't prevent things from breaking all the time. For example, right here, the front bumper brace has been cracked. Now that came from some type of accident, whether the person ran into a curb, ran into a wall, possibly ran into another car, but this was the end results. A broken front brace for the bumper. As I did my inspection on the vehicle, I noticed that the shock tower, which is this piece right here on the car, it had been broken, and the person that had the car, he epoxied it back together. And for right now, that's a good temporary fix, but as time goes on, from the vibrations of the car running, from possibly running into another car or having a crash, that's not going to hold. It's going to eventually break apart. So this is something else that I have to replace on this car, which isn't going to be a hard task, but I'm going to replace it as I start taking the car apart and replacing all the parts that I have come across that are broken. Another thing that I've noticed on this car is right here, connecting the hub carrier and the A-arms, is these little caps, top and bottom. On both sides it has it. Right here's the cap in, and here's the cap in. But on this side, it doesn't have that. All you have is one. The bottom one has two washers, two screws, and a nut that's sitting right there. And that's holding this ball that's used to for the alignment of your car. That's screwed into this A-arm, and then it sits in here, and the more you tighten this, it adjusts your toe to have toe in or toe out. By that part being off, and they got another piece substituting the cap in, you're not going to have the proper toe in that you want. And possibly if you hit a bump too hard, the washers on here may slide over and allow that nut that he has in there to come out. So that's another part they're going to have to replace. once I start cleaning the car and doing the repairs on it. Another thing that I've noticed on this car after I did a brief inspection was the eyelets that connect right here to the shock and the A-arm down here. There's a little groove on both sides, on this side and also the other side. That comes from having a tire on your car that may possibly be too big or too small. And when you turn your steering left or right, the inner rim of the car, of the tire, rubs up against the eyelet right here on the shock, and that causes a groove. Now as time goes on, that's going to weaken the eyelet, so that whenever you hit a bump or a pothole or have a minor crash, this eyelet is going to be weak enough to allow the shock to come off. So that's something that I'm going to have to repair when I start doing the repairs on this car. On the back of this car, there's supposed to be two body posts, one here and one here. But if you look carefully, only one is here. This one has been broken off. Once again, from a bad crash probably, and it snapped it off. Because when you put your body pins in these holes, where there's holes there, so therefore it's not a solid piece, and it's going to weaken the structure. So once it gets hit, this is the end results. More than likely it's going to break. So this is also something I'm going to have to replace once I start doing the repairs on this car. What I'm showing you now is the gears to this car, first and second gear. These gears, if you look closely, if the picture is clear enough, you notice that they're all shiny and jagged for the metal ones, and the plastic ones, there's grooves all along the gears. And the reason for this is as the car is riding on the ground, there's an opening right here. Right here. And as the car is riding on the ground, rocks and debris, twigs or whatever the case may be, they get up in here, through here, possibly up in here, and they get stuck. They jam the gears. They normally come out because these gears are constantly turning. So they'll shoot up in here, maybe go around once or twice, and then fly back out. But the damage is now done because now the gears are all stripped, grooved, and torn up. The end results from that would be grinding your gears down so much that they don't connect. It also could jar the engine enough that it could just twist it left or right. Then you have an improper gear mesh, and that is another way it'll chew these gears up. If it's not correct, they're too far apart, they're just barely touching, they'll rub the gears down too much. If they're too tight, then it's not going to respond as you want it to. So having rocks and stuff go up in there is a bad thing. Some cars have a little cover under there to protect them, others don't. I prefer to put some type of a covering under the car for my nitros just for that case, so it'll deflect as much of the rocks and sand and whatever else might go up under the car as you're playing around with it. One last thing I noticed, right here is the on and off switch. Now there's supposed to be 2 screws here, one on either side, and what that does, it keeps the on and off switch stationary. Now because this only has 1 screw here, it's allowing this on and off switch to slide up and down, back and forth, and whenever you turn your car on and off, well, you run a chance of the on and off switch falling down because the screws aren't there, getting tangled up in your gearing, or right up here is the servo, so it might get caught up in there, or actually come out and cut the wires, get cut and lose the whole piece. So what I'm going to do once again is put some more screws there and make sure that that's taken care of, so when he does play at the car, 1, the on and off switch won't slide, and 2, it'll be easier to turn on and off if I have to worry about is it on or is it off or not.